All right. Hi, everyone. We have Emily and Jan, who are on our team here, and I'll introduce them or let them do introductions in a minute. Hi, Martin. Oh my gosh, it's so fun to be in person. My name is Lori Pottmeyer. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm the community lead for Microsoft Teams. I sit within engineering. I'm part of the quality and customer obsession team. And Mark here is on the team as well, running a lot of the M365 community efforts that we have going on. And then we have Emily and Jan, who are part of the QCO team as well. So they focus on meetings, and we wanted to take this opportunity to have a discussion. So this isn't meant to be fully presentation, right? Emily and Jan, you're fully prepared to have this box thrown around the room to listen.
I just wish I could catch it.
Okay, yeah.
Hand it around.
You're good. Emily is joining us in the middle of the night. She's in the US. What time is it for you?
Oh, it's 5 a.m.
Yeah, 5, okay. It's just early. You can get your workout in after this. Yeah. And then Jan is joining us from Prague, right? You're in Prague.
Yeah.
So at least he's closer to time zone. So Emily and Jan meet with our engineers on a very regular basis. It's part of their job to listen to meetings feedback and meet with them on a regular basis to bring all of the consolidated feedback from our feedback portal, from our customers, our partners, our MVPs, all of our audiences, and make recommendations and build justification based on what all of you are telling us. And so today they're taking time to listen to you. So like I said, it's meant to be a super interactive discussion. Usually we like to have more of a roundtable setup so that it's very conversational, but we do have this guy. So I'll be throwing it around, and they're going to be taking this feedback and taking it to heart. So with that, Emily and Jan, I'll let each of you do a quick introduction of yourselves. And I don't know, are you going to start with any type of presentation, or did you want to go get right into the feedback?
If we want to jump right in, we totally can. I had some slides, but I feel like it's things that folks in the room already know anyway, as far as how, the feedback portal works and things like that. So I'm happy to share those where we could dive right in if there's anything burning.
Is everybody here familiar with our feedback portal, the Microsoft Teams feedback portal? Okay, so it used to be user voice. Do you want to just briefly, because there are some no's in the room, do you want to just do a quick overview of that, and then?
Totally. Okay. Yeah, so I have just a couple slides. I don't plan to spend more than 5-10 minutes going through some of them. But yeah, so nice to meet you all. I see some friendly faces in the room, which is awesome, and I'm pretending I'm standing in front of you all now. I have the video pinned on my screen, so I'm playing make-believe that I'm in person with you all. Vancouver and some of the teams more central to me I focus on. And Jan?
Yeah. Hello, my name is Jan. I work as a product manager focusing on core meeting experiences, so mainly on meeting join, meeting stage, and meeting management, so features like breakout rooms, screen sharing, together mode, and more.
Awesome. I'm just going to queue up this deck here. Let me know, Laurie, if it comes through fine with the room setup.
Yeah, we're good.
Cool. Alrighty. So, like I said, just a couple of slides here to orient us. And where I wanted to start, which I think is relevant for the topics that you're all looking at this week, sorry, I'm just popping some things out, is how, when I think about what we do on a day-to-day basis, our team, the quality and customer obsession team, we sit, like Larry said, in engineering, and we're in the conversations day in, day out with the different feature owners, the feature crews who are working on all of the different areas of the product. And there's folks on our team that do what Jan and I do for every area of the product. But for any conversation we're having, and not to state the obvious, but over the past 2 years, those conversations have changed. So when we're thinking about how is a user gonna experience this feature when it gets into their hands, these are the three things we're trying to think of. Does it help with collaboration? Does it help with their learning and growing? And most importantly, does it help with their well-being? A lot of features and feedback, because what we're reading is the feedback from our users, is if we're getting a sense that this isn't something that's helping them do their best work, be their best, we need to reevaluate. The signals that we use for this are listed here on the left. As I was mentioning earlier, the feedback portal, the tech community with the Ask Me Anythings, and all of the forums and threads that are discussing the top pain points, the top asks, NDA programs, customer and partner signals. So everything is kind of swirling, and we have to make sense of this and say, how are we going to move forward? What are the top things that we need to prioritize, make changes to, or invest in to grow in the future? As soon as we have things that are able to get in folks' hands, it's validating this, validating our assumptions, ensuring that we are meeting the bar and making the mark on whatever those new features are. And once it is ready to go out, it's communicating. This is something that we're really focusing on for FY23. A good example was when quoted reply went out, for example. This was one of the top asks, as folks probably know, and what was user voice. It had, dozens of thousands of likes on it, and it went out, and we still were hearing people asking for it, and that was a miss as far as communicating out and ensuring that as soon as something is out that people have been wanting, they know about it. And to sum all of that up into one quick little sentence, it's listening to you. And not only you, but every customer that we have. There's rings from the internal out, and this is something that I presume many folks know about, as far as the internal ring, which is what we live and breathe in every day, and many of you are likely in ring 1.5, so you see the bugs, you see the early features, and give us feedback so we can address them before they continue to roll through the rings. Then TAP, our technical adoption program, and public preview is ring 3 and 3.6. And public preview is where we're investing a lot of efforts as far as trying to get this public feedback and shifting things like the Office Insiders so that we can ensure that more users are able to give us feedback before it goes to the general public, and like I mentioned, get that feedback early and incorporate those changes. So a quick link for anyone who's interested, the aka.ms/Teams public preview is where you can find all of the information about enabling public preview, either in your tenant, have your customers sign up for this, or in your client if it's enabled on the tenant. The workflow for this, as far as how you give feedback on any new feature or find out if there is a new feature in public preview, is replying to the technical community post. So in the MTC, whenever there's a new feature, we, whatever the area owner is, will write up a blog post, and that's posted to give info on where to find the feature, how it's expected to work, what are the limitations or known issues while it's in public preview. And then if there is anything else, whether it's feedback or an issue found, using the give feedback within the client. Or a lot of times we just find comments on the tech community post and are able to reply right then and there. But it is easy or better as far as for tracking if it's through give feedback. But nonetheless, it does end up in front of us. If there's additional asks or ideas about that feature, one example is co-organizer went out and they're in the community post, I saw a lot of asks about, well, what about recordings? A great place to put that is in suggested features so we can continue to iterate. And we're able to merge items on the back end if it's something that's asked to ensure that the latest status is readily available and not kind of floating around in the feedback portal. But oops, sorry about that. And then lastly, the main metric that we're tracking is the Net Promoter Score, and this is, if you will, our North Star as to what are the top things in the product. But if someone was to ask me what are the top feedback channels that you are looking at, it would be these four: the tech community, give feedback, request a feature, and the Net Promoter Score. And for that suggest a feature, this is the new feedback portal, new as of October of last year. And we had a lot of efforts to try and migrate everything from user voice over here. So pretty much all of the top items, I think it was anything with greater than 50 votes, we moved over here, tried to clean up and merge it. And we're in here daily, and there's a lot of efforts for next year to try and get this tightened up with the roadmap as well, which I'm really looking forward to and excited about. But please, this link, aka.ms/teamsfeedback, is a great resource. Jan and I are in here all the time in the meetings area, seeing what's new and what's trending and trying to get on top of all of these items and ensure the status is up to date as possible. So for anyone who's looking to check this out, the AKA is right there. And with that, if there's any questions, happy to take them on any of the content I just shared. I tried to fly through that. If not, we can jump over to the roundtable.
Any questions about how feedback works with teams before we get into the nitty-gritty, or you guys want to jump in? There's a couple head nods of jumping into hearing the feedback that they have. So, you ready? All right, so this is your opportunity to talk to us. So who would like to start? You all are here to give teams meeting feedback. One of you better. Okay, we've got Nikki.
Hi, Nikki Chappell here. My question is just about the difference between Teams meetings when you manage them as an individual and Teams meetings hosted in a channel. Often it's not really clear what features and functionality are limited, whether it's in kind of the channel meetings. I'd just like to, I suppose, have a better way of being able to point end users and saying, this is what you can do if you run it individually and this is what you can do in the channel. Because often it's better governance to actually manage meetings in a channel.
Yeah, that's a great question or point there, Nikki. And one thing that I'll mention that I'm looking forward to is we have a new PM owner who's going to try and help that problem, if I can call it that, because you're right, it isn't clear if you're in a meeting and you have no other context, you have that chat and you don't know if it's a channel chat, so a user may go look in their chat list and where's the chat, and that's something that I hear about frequently and also if you're external and it's a channel meeting, like, why don't you guys have the chat? What's going on here? So I totally hear you. There isn't, I don't think, a great answer now as far as making that clear other than the documentation that's already there, unfortunately, but there is a whole initiative set for FY23 to try and fix that, try and make it clearer. So channel meetings and I guess private or regular meetings, there's going to be efforts to try and smooth that experience out. So
better documentation to figure out what you can do in one versus the other, including probably scheduling and best practices for when to schedule one versus the other.
Yeah, but that's a great point, and I will mention to the new owner of that area that not only improving the product, but also let's make sure that, again, for awareness, that folks know how this all works. So
awesome. And for those of you who may not be speaking up and you do have feedback and you want us to hear it, just go to aka.ms Teams feedback and literally dump it in the tool. Even if you are speaking up today, just put it in the tool, because that's how we track it, that's how we measure it, and that's how we push things forward. So go ahead.
Is it working? Yeah, cool. Hi, Rob here from Sicilian. So similar question, I guess, to the last one, but more around how the Teams interface can help people in external meetings. So it's very similar to the kind of channel things. There's certain things that you can't do with external participants that you don't always know you can't do. So one of the things that we find taking just internally and through customers to adoption is they're scared to try the things in case it doesn't work. So they might try and do a poll, or they might try and do the whiteboards now work, but there were things that just didn't work, so they default to the lowest common denominator, which is usually voice. They might share their screen. A lot of them won't try PowerPoint Live because they just don't know if it's going to work. So I wonder whether there's anything planned or coming within the interface that will help guide users that what you're doing is going to be okay and people can see it.
In-product guidance and prompts to let people know what they can do in certain types of meetings. You're muted. She doesn't use this product very often. There you
no,
go.
what is
You're
this
good.
called again? Sorry. But no, that is a great question. Jan, question for you on the screen sharing. Was there a new UFD coming, the prompt to say whether people can see your screen or not?
We are generally looking into ways when somebody is scheduling meeting to add some tooltips to inform the meeting organizer about the limitations. So there are some ongoing efforts. If you have any ideas how we can improve it more, please let us know. But I would say the feedback is very well known, and some investments are coming in upcoming quarters to address this, at least partially.
Any ideas of what you would want to see?
But I'd say it wasn't so much just about screen sharing, right? Because that's the default. Everyone goes, "Can you see my screen?" It's more when you're using other apps within Teams or anything within Teams. Does that work in the meeting you're in? So that might be a channel meeting. That might be a meeting with external participants. It might be an event. It might be a live event even. And it's not always clear whether those features work in that platform. So I've done things before where I've used meeting polls, for example, external participants. I think they do now work, but they didn't work. And so people lose confidence, right, straight away in their ability to use those features in Teams. So you kind of want a bit of intelligence that goes, you've got a meeting, say I've got a meeting with 5 external participants, and the thing that I'm going to do in Teams isn't going to work for them because of access rights or whatever it might be. Tell me that in Teams so I don't feel like an idiot when I'm trying to get them to view what I'm doing. So otherwise I'll just do an audio call where I maybe share my screen. That's what I'm trying to get to, is just make the user feel more confident in the tool set.
Confident. Yeah.
Just to add to that,
one
simple difference between a call and a meeting. There are some subtle differences between a simple call and a meeting, and it's not intuitive. And so, you don't necessarily realise that you called someone rather than started a meeting, and therefore your tools fail on you, and you panic, and the call doesn't go the way you want it to go. So, for it to be much more obvious the differences between a call and a meeting and the different types of meetings and different channels, but as Rob said, that the interface should really help you understand what you can and can't do when you're in the meeting.
This is all great feedback. If you see me typing, I'm just taking notes. One thing, I don't have a exact answer, but it's feedback well taken. Our team, the QCO, Quality and Customer Obsession team, for next year, we're going to be trying, Jan alluded to it from the product side, but we're also going to be trying to centralize the tooltips and prompts, or UFDs, whatever you want to call them, for awareness, I gave the example on quoted reply, like, hey, you have this now. But I think it's good to have in the back of our minds that more of the confidence or what's going to work, not what do I have, but is this going to work based on the audience or participants in my meeting. That's great feedback. So I don't have an answer yet, but we'll keep that in mind, and thank you.
My name's Nick Reeks from Tellyware. I've got a question on the inclusiveness of hybrid working meetings like you've got there yourself. I assume you can see a small screen with all the participants now because you're sharing your screen, whereas I would like to see that most people have 2 screens at home to see the full screen so you can see everybody better rather than the pin in the bottom right-hand corner compared to the big sharing screen. So for me, when I'm doing external meetings, I don't feel as inclusive because you can't really see the emotions of the other people because it's too small. Is there any plans to change that? Yeah, most people have dual screens at home, so like that now, it's much more inclusive, I think.
Jan, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so thanks a lot for this feedback. In Feedback Portal, we are tracking feature called pop-out content from meeting stage, which allows you on 2 screens have content on one screen and video on other one. And in this Feedback Portal, you will be able to see updates, how the feature evolves. Currently, it's in planning stage, and when we get into public preview, we will let you know. But one of the investments happening is addressing this feedback number 3 on Feedback Portal to have pop-up content. We are also currently offering features like pin participant video, so you can pin video to make it bigger. And also we are collecting a lot of feedback related to hybrid meetings, and there will be many more improvements in the future, which will definitely will try to improve making meetings more inclusive. So thanks a lot for this feedback. This is something where Microsoft is going to invest for sure.
Yeah, I actually, as I forgot I had that slide up because I did have the content popped out, so I see you all on my screen, and I had it pinned also, so I feel like I'm there.
Okay. Hi, David from Heidelberg Cement.
Hi, David.
What we also start to use is not only the hybrid meetings, but also the hybrid all-hands meetings, like the big events, where we would like to really use the features and things that you have in the Teams live event, but that 20 seconds of delay is really creepy for that experience of hybrid meeting. So we really like the approach of putting some of those features like a Q&A and pollings and things into the meeting. But for example, what still leads us to use the external tools is the Q&A. I cannot ask anonymous questions, which is in some companies still a blocker to use it in the Teams meeting. So something to share about that one, like how maybe the live events and Teams meetings will evolve? That was a huge.
Yeah, that's a great question, David. So we're actually going through that same thing now, and we had been using the live events for our all hands. Luckily, it was at that point fully virtual, but if it was hybrid, it is weird to have that delay. So again, I hate to keep pointing to the FY23 and the future, but there are huge initiatives and efforts and investments going towards hybrid and events. Actually, there was a pretty big redistribution of folks within engineering, splitting out specifically towards working on the events space, bridging that gap between meetings and live events, webinars, all of that, and making it more of a seamless, sliding scale compared to the pretty standard choices that we have right now. So that pain point is understood, but again, hearing these pieces of feedback, like the confidence or, feeling weird with the delay. Like all of these things definitely help us when we're having these conversations and planning discussions. So, look forward to more coming on that space in the future. It's definitely a place with hybrid and events that there's a lot of investment going. So
Keep up.
Thanks.
Hi, it's Patrick again. I have another question relating to the use with multiple screens as a desktop user. So I'm a furious user. I'm on it all day. I have actually 3 screens, but two for is adequate for most people. So if I am presenting, the video feed minimizes. Now, I don't want it to minimize because I have the real estate to use the second screen. So I asked this question once before and I was told, oh, well, you should be using PowerPoint Live anyway. But once again, I can't use all my screen real estate if I use PowerPoint Live. So it's just to try and ask you to think about how teams should work on multiple screens, because I want to use all of my real estate. I have my camera set so I know where to make eye contact, but if that screen suddenly minimizes into the corner of actually the wrong screen, then my whole setup isn't ideal. So I just wanted to make that point. It's kind of an additional point to the point earlier about multiple screens, which is it really ought to, let's say the next iteration should take multiple screens into account and automatically use as much of the real estate as possible.
Thank you very much for thank you very much for the feedback. Definitely, the scenario is very well understood, and the team is looking into improvements in the future, how to address this scenario.
Yeah, that pop-out content. If you go actually onto the feedback portal and filter on meetings and scroll just the top 10, top 15, a lot of them are, I'd say probably 75% of them are around screen sharing. And not only screen sharing, but all those scenarios, like I have a signal actually that I track, and it's when I screen share, see hands, see people, manage roster, see chat, like kind of all the things you want to see, that goes away when you either minimize the client or start sharing your screen. Some of the features that you just mentioned I'm kind of using right now, except for minimizing and the video goes away, which Jan said we're working on. So I can tell you that some of them are fixed and I kind of forget about the problem because I've been using them for a while, which I think is a good thing if you forget that the problem ever existed, if it's fixed so well right away. So coming soon. And keep an eye, we're, like we said, trying to stay on top of at least very heavily the top 20 or so of the feedback portal items. So thanks, Patrick.
Hi there, it's Gavin.
Hey.
I just wondered if you guys could confirm what the desired behavior for how a channel meeting invite interacts with Outlook meeting invites. So over the years, how I think it should work is when you set up a channel meeting, you add the names into the list. Whoops, wasn't me. Your screen flickered off for a sec. And only those people then receive an Outlook meeting invite and accept or decline it. But then everyone in the channel could see that meeting's going on and then join it if they wanted to. But over the years, in different client companies and in my corporate job at different times, that behavior has changed over time. So sometimes I had a channel meeting and everybody in the entire team has received an Outlook meeting invite, which we don't want because we don't want, they could join it, but we don't want to get into their calendar. And other times we've had no one internally has got that meeting invite apart from the people who are added, but every single external guest had got an individual meeting invite. So I just wondered if you could confirm what the desired behavior was, because then it wasn't clear what was the feature, what was the bug, when to report it, and why well.
you're saying right now, just to play it back, when you're sending it, you can add who you want in the to line, the people that you really want to be there. Anyone else who's in that team can obviously see that it's happening and join. But any of the guests in that team are getting the invite in their calendar directly. Is that what you're seeing right now?
It depends on the client, when the team is set up, when the people are added. It's just changed over the last 5 years. But I just wondered what the design was.
Yeah, and to be frank, I'd have to even look it up, but I do remember that for older teams, like there was, like you would automatically be subscribed to the channel updates or the team updates, like the O365 group, and that was causing a ton of pain points because you would get every single invite. And I actually was just talking to someone this week, and they still see that, and I was like, hey, check what the subscription settings are for that O365 group. But generally speaking, it shouldn't be spamming folks. Like, it shouldn't, anyone who's in the group but not directly invited shouldn't be getting that invite. It's just anyone in the to line. For guests, they will get that invite, but I'd have to check if there is anything new, because that's the latest that I know. Sorry I don't have a better answer unless, Jan, you know anything else.
Yeah, so the world of Outlook and world of Teams is kind of separated, and both teams are looking into feedback for future, but I don't have like additional insights either. Yeah, for this.
And that might be something too, somebody else said before about like the tool tips and like just being able to, like, when you're scheduling the channel meeting, make it really clear that you have to put people on the to line. And you didn't mention this, but can I have some feedback?
Yeah, please.
You know when you do a channel meeting and you want to cancel your channel, or you want to just, it's like a recurring meeting, and then you want to just cancel it that 1 week because it's 4th of July or holiday or whatever, and you can't do it from Outlook, and then you have to cancel your channel meeting and then redo a new one. That's a pain.
Yeah, you can't edit it.
Yeah. That's my feedback.
Yeah, no, I mean, my own kind of laundry list of things for chat, because I think it's kind of channel meetings and chat are pretty, like the pain points are pretty closely entangled. And like I said, there's someone who's taking this space over, and not to air our total dirty laundry, but in my opinion, it hasn't had a huge focus the past couple of years with just how the world's been. It's been more about the video and the gallery views and all of that. So I'm looking forward to the investments and the changes, and even smaller things like being able to export a chat. Like, how long has that been being asked for? Things like that. Channel meeting. I was just looking at the backlog yesterday, but different investments that have been asked for a long time with channel meetings are going to be finally getting some time on the table. So.
Good. I know.
But if you do see a bug, anytime there is something like, and you're like, hey, is this working the right way? Like, just throw a quick give feedback, because we're triaging all of those, or the feedback portal, like, hey, I think this is working the wrong way. And if it is, we'll say, oh, it's by design. But if not, even if we don't respond to it right away, like, we'll look at it. And the feedback portal has a smaller number of items that we're looking at. So go ahead, Laurie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in the feedback, in the Teams client, the left-hand side, there's a little icon, and if you click it, then you can add feedback or log a bug. And sometimes if you log a bug and it's not really a bug, it kind of brings awareness to the fact that there's confusion as to if something's a bug or not. So just log it. Like, if it's not clear to you, just log it. This is a bug, and then that helps us kind of sort out, like, oh, people aren't clear on what the correct behavior is. So good thing to bring up. We are a little bit over time. Jan and Emily, do you have a few more minutes so we can take a couple more?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay. No, Emily,
Emily's
ready to do her marathon at 5 a.m. There's a question or a comment in the back, I think. Yeah. Yeah, use your muscles. There you go.
Thank you. Hello. Mark from BP. We are Microsoft Teams shop. We've started upgrading some rooms to MTR. And we love the idea of being able to do, for our users to be invited to a third-party Zoom, for example. And then they receive the invite, they can forward it to one of our MTR rooms, and they can join. The challenge that we have is our calendar processing is set to not to process third-party meeting invites. So currently it gets rejected. Now we could enable that, but then we're worried that third parties, if they then get to see what that meeting room mailbox email address is, it could open us up to some unwanted bookings by people directly booking meeting rooms in our rooms and with offensive subject matters and stuff like that. Is there a way to prevent that from happening? Or how do you guys do it?
I might have to get back to you on that one, Mark. I don't know that I know the answer to that. For how we do it at Microsoft, I don't believe I used to be in Microsoft IT, and I'm trying to think back to how we did it, and I'd have to follow up with you online or offline on that, Mark. Sorry for not having the answer on hand.
What it does is it joins via web RTC anyway. It doesn't give that information out. So it's joining it, so you don't have to give your exact information, and when you create the room and that information within it, you can say Mickey Mouse Room A and join as Mickey Mouse Room A without any information for your meeting invite or appropriate URL or UPN or SMTP address. So you're not giving anything away. So they'd have to send you a Microsoft Teams invite anyway, which people from Zoom probably aren't going to be doing. Does that make sense?
I'm wondering if the meeting organizer.
Yeah, the concern I think is if the meeting organizer is in a third party and they send out this invite, when our exchange processes that third party invite because someone from BP has forwarded it to one of our rooms, the meeting organizer in the third party then gets an accepted, which will disclose the email address of the room. I think that's the concern.
Any questions? Any more?
Martin in the front.
Or at the back of your head.
Hey, Morten Hellebro here. I have one feedback is that when you share a window in a Teams meeting and then you want to switch window to another window, then you need to stop sharing and then reshare another window, and that changed the experience in a Teams meeting and got confusing. So that's a feedback. And I see you're nodding, so you're familiar with that one. But also I found the other day that if you do, at least in Windows 11, you can hover over the window in the taskbar and you can share directly from there. In that way, you can switch window without stop sharing.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this feedback. In Windows 11, we recently added the share this window experience as a recent improvement, and from a long-term perspective, definitely the scenario described is among top 5 feedbacks in screen sharing, and team is looking into way how to implement it. So definitely no scenario, and hopefully it will be addressed in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Was in the top 20, like 70% of them are around screen sharing, and that's one of them. So,
All right. Last call. Last call. Anything anybody's really passionate about? Okay. I'm sure there are passionate opinions, and so please, like I said, use the feedback portal, aka.ms Teams feedback, and Emily and Jan look at those on a regular basis. For any of you that want to follow up, I think you have your contact information somewhere. No? Emily? Jan? I can give it to you if anybody needs to contact them.
I should be sharing it. Is it showing?
Yeah, we can see your slide. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's, if you want to reach out to us, here's some of our info. Thank you all. And like Laurie said, I should have put it here, but it's aka.ms/Teams feedback. So keep that in your bookmarks, share it with folks, your customers. I'll try and, if Laurie, I'll lean on you to try and connect with some of the folks I said I'd follow up with. I took some notes, so should be able to find you. If not, please do reach out. Thank you all. Keep, helping us raise the bar, giving the feedback and challenging us. It's always great to, ask the hard questions and bring this to the feature crew. So thank you again, and have an awesome rest of the day.
Thank you both.
Thanks for everything. Take care.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, John. Thank you all. Tomorrow we're having a calling session too with the calling team during this same hour. So if you want to speak with the calling team, I know that they would love to hear from you as well. So thanks for being here.